We now resume part 2 of our candid interview with celebrity makeup artist, Sir John. 3 clients that you work with and some life lessons that you've taken away from. So my first one is, I'll go with Gabrielle Union.
Okay.
You work with Gabrielle Union. What are some life lessons you've taken away from your experience with her?
I love Gabrielle Union, not because there's no reason, I don't need a reason to love her. It's not to love, but you know why? Because she's so timeless, she's so ageless, but also and sexless. When I say that, I believe myself to be this as well. I read the book, The 48 Laws of Power, also The Art of Seduction. So there's always, a mental transvestism. And when I say that, being able to enter the spirit of the opposite sex and take on their psychology, I feel like that's what's given me a lot of space in this business, because I do believe in being kind of masculine and feminine at the same time, and not overt, but having that dichotomy is supremely, you can connect with people, and she's able to connect with people because I see strength in her like a man in terms of her mentality and the decisions and the questions she asks herself in the universe. And then also how she's campaigned, and, she brought so much heart to with, Isaiah and so much, man. So and also I love how she treats her people. I love how she treats, her people or her people. They're not the help, and I've looked at that like, wow, like she's like she's rock solid, baby. And also her skin is just so sexy, so I've learned a little bit about that from her of leaning into things that I don't know and asking the right questions, and just in a cool, sexy way that's not so intentional where it looks forced,
Okay. I will say, I want to say this about her, which I'm going to interview Larry on Monday, but nice.
It's my bro, yo.
Yeah, I'll probably be repeating this, and she doesn't even know this. What I love about is the reputation she carries. And I was working with an actress that she was on a show with, and the network didn't want to pay them. And she stood her ground to make sure that they got paid, that they were, and she could have definitely been one of those people that got her money and was out and didn't really care about them. But that lady was telling me, she was like, I appreciate her because she doesn't need the money. She could have left. She stayed and made sure that we were taken care of as actors and actresses. So we give her flowers.
To your point, I remember a job this year. This year, recently, big job. And, she could have pocketed most of the money that, for hair and makeup. She didn't have to give us as much as she, mind you, that was in the budget, but she could have totally absorbed that cost.
Yeah, because people do these new things, hearing about these glam buyouts where they take the money and then they distribute it back out to the glam how they want. And it comes back to us as I'm paying out of pocket.
But you know what? And she gave me everything that was in there. I was like, whoa, okay. Right. For an hour? You know what I mean? So no, constant appreciation and respect. Constant respect.
So Naomi.
Anybody who really knows me. I was and still am to this day such a huge, I was a super fan in the 90s. Before internet, not the internet, I should say, but before in social media. And this is when we used to go and get magazines. I was at the stores. I knew all of the, everything, the headlines, I would read all the articles. Anything she was in, I was obsessed. She was my person. She was the person I was obsessed with in high school. In my locker, I had the milk campaign, all this kind of stuff. I remember every show, everything. And so to work with her, as my first client, I was 27 or something like that. And what I learned from her is, just in general, is the fact that she reminds me of also someone who understands the feminine and the masculine. There's that definitely a mix of that there, but also the decisions she's making, the decisions she's made, how she's able to have always been omnipresent, always been relevant, and that has never waned. She's never left unless she wanted to leave and take a break or go chill or go on vacation, But what I learned from her, I've taken some of that with me when I started in the business, being one of the only Black people backstage or, at shows or whatever that looks like. Just speaking up, just be okay to speak up for yourself. You speak up, love. You have to, and ask the right questions. And, if you feel like you're worth it, if you know what your worth is and your value, if you know how you should be valued, lean into that. Lean into that. And so, but also I'm working around women, man, who know their faces so well, to sit and to, you know, she like to do makeup on someone that who's had her makeup done by Francois Nars, by Kevin Aquan, by all the greats, Sam Fine, you know, like, oh man, what am I gonna do here? You know, but I could just do me. But yeah, that, and you know, just the fact that I just love that woman. I really, really, really do. But you know, looking at Joan, I remember, you know, Joan Smalls, and so mind you, we were friends, we were buddies, and I had always seen her, you know, hit the, you know, backstage at shows, but I never worked with her on an editorial set until, like, you know, a couple years into knowing her. And to see Joan just like literally morph and move, or to see Iman, you know, when she knows the light is on her and she can feel the light to bathe. When you see these women bathe in the light, it's otherworldly. I can't even explain it. Like, I wish everyone could see that up close, because it's something that it's like watching the Olympics, or watching that thing that turns from bronze to silver to gold to platinum in front of your eyes.
Yeah. Okay, so we cannot go through this and not ask. What did you take away from working with Beyonce? Or what have you? You're still working with her? Yeah.
That's my sis, man. I love the family. I love, you know, I love all of that. You know, when I say all of that, her mom, I love, you know, Yvette is like, you know, is like a second, you know, I only say mom, like auntie to me. You know what I mean? I love Yvette. I love, you know, being the kids. You know, I love, you know, Neil, my brother in hair and glam. You know what I mean? Like, it's so much I've learned. I grew up in this game. You know, that was the crash course I had. Just got thrown into it, like, boom, here, you do it. And so what I've learned from her is she's so graceful. She's a graceful woman. And when I say graceful, she's fun, and she likes to have a good time, and, you know, and things like that. But there's a certain grace that she has, and quiet, like, confidence. And I've seen her. You know, it made me realize that I'm an advocate for women's rights is working around her. Like, I have a strong mom. I come up from a really, really strong mom. My mom's just like an impeccable teacher, educator. You know, she's wise. But when I see the application of knowledge, which Beyonce has done, in terms of when you sit on the floor and you hear someone like that, you know, go from lighting to this to sound to, you know,
background, and the people and the floor and the instruments, everything is supposed to be white. But the way y'all are lighting it, it doesn't matter, because you can't tell what the set is doing because it's red and purple light.
No, I don't know. The side should be white.
All white.
Yeah,
so we'll go all white.
Yeah, we've got guys to do it tonight. So.
Okay. I mean, I said that yesterday.
Right. Yeah, no, everything should be white.
Okay, so let's start rehearsing.
You just sit and you just watch. You watch greatness, and I mean, I just can't even. I don't know how to put it into words. Like, you know.
I feel it as you're speaking. I feel it because I look at her the same way, like in a deeper manner, where I'm to have the knowledge of how she knows she wants to show the look, how she knows the fashion has. Like, I pay more attention. Actually, when I watched her Coachella, the film, I was more enamored in the behind the scenes work than I was with the actual show. The actual show was beautiful, but that was a giving. It was the work that goes behind it, because people never understand how much work goes into putting that stuff together. And being a person that has to have a little bit of knowledge of everything and how it needs to work together, the lighting, the makeup, the clothes, the hair, all of it, the dancers, like, that's a lot of weight to carry. So I definitely understand how you could walk away with that.
And also, she's pushed my work ethic to you know, a whole another level. Like, you know, I feel like I always knew I had a serious work ethic. I would work 3-4 jobs, you know, work doing windows at Barney's and Bendel's, and then running, you know, to the strip club at night, or that all these kind of things. But when you are, you know, when you're not going to go to sleep until you get it right, when you're not going to stop until it's right, you know, it's something that I'll just take with me. I hope it should be taught in schools. Like, children should know, like, how to continue to persevere until your vision is realized.
Right.
And also, one thing I think is a beautiful thing that I don't feel like, you know, gets enough credit. I love, you know, there are stories to our community about Black love. You know, I love that. I've learned from, you know, watching her when we're on tours and things like that, that I still, no matter if I have this cool career, I still have to represent. I still have to show up for my relationship. I still have to, like, you know, I've been with my partner now for 9 years, and so I still have to show up. I have to show up as not like SJ, like, you know, I have to show up, you know, and that is something that you know, we don't always talk about in terms of our community, and is you know, what that looks like in terms of the dynamic of the family dynamic, the love dynamic, you know, and over a couple of decades, how you sustain that is so impactful. It's so impactful. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I know that a lot of times social media paints a picture, and someone can always, you know, think, oh, Sir John has it, you know, together and everything. What are some of the things you feel like you sort of lost, and what are some of the things you gained? You know, like sometimes people don't understand, like, for you to get to where you are, what are some sacrifices that you feel like you made, and you look at it and you like, I sort of took a loss on that, but over here I gained that.
Yeah. Yo, bro, you know, like, for example, I learned to read contracts. I learned that, I'm sorry, guys, my light is a little hot right now, but I just have to say that in case people are like, why do you look like a glowworm? Remember glowworms back in the 80s with the little, you know?
Glowworm is huggable, snuggable, lovable.
And no shade, but I
just had those. But no, I was gonna say that I got, when you go through a bad deal, when a deal doesn't, when everyone else makes money on a deal and you don't, and you've done the work and you know what you brought to a project, it's like, what happened? What's going on? Read your contracts, read every word. If you don't understand contracts, have someone sit with you and help you understand that. You know, I wish I went to school for law so I could understand them even more. Yeah. I think one of the biggest things is reading, sitting and reading. Don't just sign. Don't just be happy someone gives you a contract. Be confident enough to walk away for something that doesn't serve you, because that's one of the most important, valuable lessons I've learned. But also, you know, in terms of things, man, like, it's lonely. When I say it's lonely in a space where when you have a lot of wins, I'm gonna keep it real. I don't say this often. You know, I talk to my therapist about this, or my friends, but, you know, a lot of times I don't compare. I don't talk about I never talk about work ever outside of stuff like this, right? But sometimes, you know, people look at you as a mirror to themselves or what they've done, and it's like, and then it can be really lonely. It can also, you know, when you're dating, I don't have this, but I've seen a lot of people who they're you know, their partners feel a sense of competition. You know, I even look at some of the women that I'm around, and no matter how great they are or how much they are a girlfriend or represent their husbands, or sometimes their boyfriends, not their husbands, they get jealous of their careers or their light, you know? So I would say that, you know, one thing that has kind of, the gift and the curse is that this is all beautiful. I have a platform that I can start to be a mirror for where we want to be as a culture, you know, in terms of Blackness. But it is a space that can isolate you. It can be isolating, and also it can chip away at your mental health. It can chip away at your psyche when you are, because you want to be here. But I remember Iman told me, turn a moment, and Sir John, turn this moment you're having into a lifetime. Turn this into a legacy. You know, and that was 15 years, over 10 years ago. And so, but staying here, you know what I mean? You can get there, but you got to stay there, you know, and that can add a lot on you mentally, if you're not whole, you know? And so I continue to make sure that I don't do this for nobody else except me and my family and my people, you know what I mean? So staying grounded, man, can keep you. Yeah, this is because all of this can be gone tomorrow. Like everything you're talking about is lovely. Hopefully that leaves a stain on someone's brain, or it's encouraging to someone else. But I have a really keen understanding that this is not about me. It's not about me. I'm a variable. I'm here for not for myself, for other people.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Those are the things, because I realize that God placed me there for a purpose. And if I don't fulfill my purpose, then I'm missing out on the whole reason I'm there. True, he gives you a talent, but that talent is there to serve as a purpose, as a conduit to different people. And, you know, I don't take for granted the people that God has blessed me to come encounter with. I take it as a moment of learning to even be an intercessor, because sometimes people already assume they're doing so well, they have it all together. But I realize with great responsibility, I mean, you know, with great accomplishment comes great responsibility, and that's a weight. So I've learned I pray for Whoopi. Like I pray for her. You know what I'm saying? Like I pray for the people that I work with and wish them well, because I know there are a lot of people that are waiting to see them fail. Sadly enough, sometimes, you know, they're like, oh, they're doing so good. They go, and people act like they're happy for you until you fall, and then they're like, oh, see, you ain't all of that. Because you know, people sometimes get joy out of that. I want to ask you this question. I had an interview with Bevy Smith, and in her book, she talks about she doesn't apply to the statement "no new friends." And so you were talking about, you know, being lonely and stuff, and you're successful, and then you come in contact with different people in your life. Do you feel like you embrace new friends, or do you feel like you're a little nervous because you don't understand, you're trying to figure out people's reasoning for getting close to you?
I'm too nice, bro. Like, I'm like, no, new friends, come on, let's go to the bar, let's go party, let's go dance. Like I love to love, like in the famous words of Donna Summer, like I'm a lover, you know? And so I love people, and it's sometimes the gift, and it could be the curse, because I also had to set up serious boundaries for myself. I had to learn how to say no. You know, I had to learn that when you're saying yes to other people, you're saying no to yourself too. And so I do believe in, I don't believe in the no new friends. No, not at all. Because at some point I'm growing. I'm a different person this year than I was last year, you know? And if I'm doing the work, the work on me, I'm hopefully attracting a different vibration, you know? So hopefully I will be open to seeing what the universe has to bring into my life. So I would love to have, and I do appreciate when I meet new people who are of substance, or who have something to say, or who make me think about something. You know, I think I want to grow. I want to learn more. You know, I want to still stay. I'm always going to be a white belt. There's so much arrogance at the black belt level. When you're a black belt, you feel like, oh, there's not so much, you can't learn so much more. It's hard to absorb knowledge when you feel like you're already full of knowledge. And so for me, I'm going to continue to stay a white belt and be honest to the game until like it's no longer for me, you know. But I do believe, and no, just continue to be open, you know, and not close myself off, but also understand how to protect yourself, you know, from like threats that may occur, I guess, or something.
Gotcha. Okay, so my last question, and
last one. I like this. This is fun.
Listen,
you know why? Because I feel like I know you so well. We know the same people.
Yeah. We haven't really ever had a moment for us to like. So this is actually our first like really getting into each other's head a little bit. We've definitely been in the same spaces and stuff, but we really, you know, it's been very like card game nights and
spades.
Yeah, exactly. All of those moments. But yeah, but I want to ask you, what is beautiful to you?
What's beautiful to me? What's beautiful to me is a feeling. It's something you can't see. It's something you can't touch. It's not something you can smell, but you can smell it sometimes. I'm sure it's like smells like roses. But beauty is something that is the way you make people feel. You know, it's something that, you know, it's when you leave a room, how have you impacted that space? What do people say about you when you're not there? How have you made people feel who cannot do anything for you? The people who don't necessarily can't get you up any higher, can't move the needle for you, can't go run and grab you a cup of coffee, whatever, and all these different spaces, you know, how do you make people feel? And so for me, it's like, you know, that's beautiful. Like making someone feel whole or lifted is such a high, you know, for me, like that's just kind of my thing, you know? So it's, yeah, that's beautiful.
Thank you so much, Sir John. I'm so glad we finally got to do this. I have been hunting you down.
I know, and I wasn't on purpose.
No. Listen, you are Sir John, so it was not going to be an easy feat. I knew that, but I'm glad we finally got to do it. I appreciate you, and I genuinely love you. I think any aspiring makeup artist, anybody in the industry artist, if they should study you. They should study you, because that's how they will have an amazing career. And that is not talent, true, but I do this thing called things I wish people would have told me. And one of the things I say is that your character and your integrity will carry you in the rooms that your talent won't. You know, there are a lot of amazing people, but there are some not so talented people sometimes. But because of how they make people feel,
absolutely, they
occupy that space. So
and you know what though, if that can be something that if people understood, that's such a shortcut. It's such a shortcut is to, you know, and to know people. I think one thing is, I know that we want to wrap, but
No.
How we look at when we go into a conversation, when we go into a meeting, we only think about ourselves. When we go into an ask, when I say an ask, it could be from your mom or it could be from a boss or an agent, whatever. We only think about what we need. And so when you are going into your next ask, think about what they can possibly, what could they possibly use from me? What could they possibly need? I know that I have something I want, you know, but lean into others' needs, wants. What can I do to benefit this space? You know, and then ask after you know that you've contributed or you deposited something into that bank. Even if it's asking about their kids, remembering their kids' names. You know, the people who work in the finance department, the people who sign off on your checks, knowing their names. You know, like talking about like engagement, babe. And so for me, it's like I think that's missing not just in our business but in the world. Like we're so separated because of social media. It's a gift and a curse because no one knows how to have a conversation anymore at dinner or talk, you know, or write a letter, you know. And so, and we're like, I'm an 80s baby, we're 80s babies. So we understood, hey, listen, I want to have some dialogue. I want to have some conversation. And then that's the way to really get in there and leave memorable stains on their brains, you know? So listen, I just want to ask you a question. So I'm going to flip it around on you. Right?
Okay.
I want to know.
Okay.
What do you see? How has, you know, the conversations that you've had, the dialogues, as we talk about dialogue that you've had with our community, how has that changed your vision or your view of the business by listening to so many, having your ears to the streets?
Oh, look at you!
I got two more, and then
I love it. Come on. Let me see. How has it changed? It made me realize that there is constantly that fight for us to like. Thankfully, I've had the opportunity to interview Chuck Amos and Oscar James, and like you were saying earlier, I realized that is that fight that it can only be a few of us. I've also I'm learning that it's okay. I think a lot of times we as Black creatives, that especially when we work in Black and white spaces, I'm learning that it's okay to not have to be accepted in a white space. I was having a conversation with this guy that writes a book. His name is Charles Blow. He works with the New York Times, and he was talking about how sometimes we fight to want to be appreciated in those spaces, you know, but it's okay to just be big in your community. They don't have to accept you. You know what I'm saying? So I'm learning that, and I'm learning it's a journey, and that's really what I try to do in this space, is try to make sure, because when I grew up, and I say this constantly, I grew up watching behind the scenes, behind the music and Lifetime's Real Women, and you know, watching them talk about Destiny's Child starting out and they lose on Star Search, but yet they still go forward. Those are the things that let me know that losses is a part of the journey. So when I took a loss, I was like, okay, that just means the next thing is coming. And so that's what I try to give through this. And that's why I asked you the question, because I know people can see you as being glamorous. Everybody see you beside Beyonce. They love it. That, like, you know, you got it going on. You in that, like you with all the top models. And I try to bring a balance on, like, what is it? Because people want to know, okay, so if I'm on this journey, if I encounter this, does this mean that I'm not making it? Does it mean it's not working out for me? It wasn't meant for me? No, that just means you have to pivot a different direction.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
a loss will teach you how to win, bro. We didn't get here by the wins. We got here by the what we've taken away from the losses. You know, like this closed doors, the fact, you know, every conversation everything you just said about, am I supposed to be here? You know, am I supposed to stay here? Why am I here?
Yeah,
you know, it's hard, it's difficult, and so these losses, bro, losses are really your biggest win. Like when you think about it, the high times don't manage themselves. It's about, you know, as men, you know, and I don't want to say men as anyone, it's about how we manage the lows, bro. You know what I mean? So, so my next question to you would be, where do you see, how do you see your voice changing, and where do you see it continuing in terms of, so I love this. I love what you're doing in terms of this activity of getting us together and hearing our voices and, you know, and amplifying them. But what do you want to do with that?
I just want to continue it. I want to shine. Like, we have enough negative going on constantly. I just want to, because I just want to keep on amplifying our people. What's funny is when I started the show, there was some, like, I was like, should I be interviewing white people and black people? And I interviewed Sarah Haynes. I had a, oh my God, he's a huge hairstylist. We talked about, I can't even remember his name right now because I'm horrible with names, but I talked to him about doing the show and he agreed. And I was like, because, you know, in my head, I'm thinking, do I care that much to be crossover? But going back to what I even said earlier, but I realized that I'm okay amplifying our voices because our voices aren't heard. And there are a lot of Black creatives in spaces that aren't really being appreciated. Like, it meant a lot to me to do Oscar and Chucky.
Yes.
When I interviewed them, because people don't realize how much of an impact they have on the beauty space. When you go, and I told them this, when you go into a beauty supply store and you look on that dark and lovely box and you're like, oh, I like that haircut. And because what you do is you say, I like that haircut. So you imagine that relaxer is going to make your hair look like that girl on the box. So they have influenced billions of women thinking that their hair is going to look like that. And they are the people behind the boxes, you know, on the color. They're doing the relaxers. They're doing all of these major things, and people aren't really realizing. So I want to continue to amplify it, but I want us to have fun. And where I hope it goes, I don't know. I mean, I would love for it to maybe be a television show, but if it could be on a serious streaming site, I would love that too, because I realize you can make more money, and I don't want to be held by a network and saying what I can't say and what I can say. So I've learned, you know, good thing about working at a television show. I realized that different people offer you different things. So, you know, so yeah, that's where I'm at. But I definitely want to continue to push us forward and show that there are people behind the scenes that you have no idea about, and to aspire. You know, we see basketball players, we see singers, but hey, you could be a makeup artist and have the world. You can travel the world being a makeup artist. You could have a television show being a makeup, stuff that people don't realize. And once you get shown that that's available to you, then it offers you the dream. But, you know, growing up, when I started doing hair, all you knew was salon. So people thought if you got a salon, you done made it. You know, people didn't realize, like, wow, you could travel the world being a hairstylist. You could be on television. You could have your own show. You could, all these things that are available, people don't.
Absolutely. I love that. And my last question is, if you could say two words to your younger artist self, you know, when you first got into the business, what would those words be? 2 words.
Keep going.
Keep going. Keep going. Yes.
Keep going.
Keep going. Keep going, baby. You know, on that note, I guess no.
I love how this has been. Look, we're gonna have to co-host.
No, I would do it. Whatever. I love so many of the people I remember Chucky's pep talk to me in the bathroom at the Essence Fest. You're like, yo, you up next, bro. Like, if I'm saying you have some work to do, like, go do it, you know, or like Sam letting me sleep on his couch and crash. That's my big brother. Like, people don't know how close Sam and I are. Like, we are like literally, like, he's one of my best friends, like, you know, and I would not be where I am without Sam Fine.
Yeah.
Period. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, so man, listen, continue to spread the love, man, and I would love to just hold community and space with you anytime.
Behind the scenes beauty.